Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. I'm just going to be discussing the IEM Rio Major. Outsiders with a huge upset, or I guess it wouldn't be a huge upset, but dark horse for sure to win this whole thing. Heroic finalists right there beside them. No one could have predicted these two in the finals against each other. At least at the beginning of the tournament. Once we got to the playoffs, maybe, but at the beginning of the tournament, no one would have said this was our grand final. And, JAME taking home the major MVP, huge props to him. He played his butt off. He's been playing at a high level for a long, long time. I remember back in 2018, I think it was an Epicenter tournament. He was still on a Vanguard at that time, and he had like 20 kill half against FaZe or someone like some team of that stature at that time, and I was like, oh, who is this guy? And that was whenever I first started paying attention to him. That was whenever I was like, okay, maybe he can kind of make a name for himself. And then Vanguard slowly just became better and better over time, and then here they are winning a major. They've had those tournaments before that they've just taken home out of nowhere, but a major is a whole nother level. And then Furia making the semifinals. It was a valiant effort against Heroic, and they took down Navi before them, but just kind of disappointing that they weren't able to make it to the finals and potentially win the whole event. I know technically they weren't the favorites, but with the crowd and how they were playing at the time, it just kind of felt like, I don't know, maybe it's destined to happen, and they just fell short. So it's not their fault. I do think Heroic is the better team, so it's not a huge deal that they lost, but it is disappointing nonetheless. And Navi only making it to the quarterfinals is a little bit disappointing. They did lose to Furia in a crazy 3-map game, but they're better than Furia. They should be taking that game home and maybe even taking this whole tournament home. They were one of the better teams coming into this, but losing to G2 at the Pro League finals, and before that losing to FaZe and kind of looking pretty shaky at I tried to combine shaky and rocky at Blast Premier fall groups or whatever. Navi looked a little bit shaky there. They just haven't had the same form since removing Boomich, which I'm sure they'll get it together. They just kind of have been playing a lot of tournaments back to back. But I wouldn't give up on SDY just yet. I'm sure they'll still figure it out. They can put it together and become the #1 team in the world again. Spirit making it to the quarterfinals, huge advancement from them, proving that they can hang with the top 10 teams in the world. Eliminating Liquid in the 2-2 match, and putting up a valiant effort against Heroic in the quarterfinals. Wonderful Patsy and Magix, those kids, that's a nice core for Spirit going forward. I think if they develop them properly, they can really be something in the future, a force to be reckoned with, almost like outsiders. I think they can be a team similar to that. Cloud9, another one of my disappointing teams. Whenever we got to the quarterfinal or the playoff stage, I had Cloud9 pegged as my favorites. Shiro's been playing out of his mind their whole run, but they just kind of fell apart. Losing to Mouse in a 3-map series is just kind of, I don't want to say embarrassing. Mouse is a good team, but they're young, inexperienced. This was a lot of their first major playoffs. I just expect more from Cloud9. They're, in my opinion, one of the elite teams in the world, and Mouse are putting things together to try to become that. Cloud9 should have definitely won that match and maybe even taken the trophy home instead of outsiders. But good look from the CIS scene. 4 teams, over half, 50% of the teams in the playoffs were from the CIS region. So hats off to you guys. Yakindar on Liquid, another top 10 team in the world. FaZe got to talk about the biggest disappointment here of the whole tournament. You know, number one team coming into the whole event and not winning a single match. That's a big disappointment. No one really played well. Brokey, one of the lower rated players of the tournament, especially star players. If you compare him to a lot of the oppers, I'm sure he'll be the lowest, or towards the lowest, if not the lowest, with a 0.95 rating. It's just Kerrigan kind of reminds me of 2018, whenever FaZe lost the major to Cloud9, and then at the Face It Major they went. They didn't even make the playoffs, and you know the players started to lose confidence in Kerrigan, and I think that Kerrigan is just being overworked. They've been to a lot of tournaments lately. They had an interview with Sponge. He was talking to Twist, I saw, and Twist was talking about how they were just being really overworked by Robon, and Twist seemed really serious. And then whenever Sponge went to Kerrigan, he just kind of looked at the camera and laughed, and he said, well, of course we're working hard, but you know, and then he just gave a corporate answer, something along the lines of, it's what we're supposed to do. But maybe it's deeper than it seems. You know, this team has too much talent to not win a single match. It's something deeper, and I don't want to put the blame on Kerrigan or the coach, but there's just got to be something wrong that's besides it. And I mean, maybe it just is the players not playing at the high level. The reigning major MVP Rain just didn't play so well. He had like a 0.98 rating. He's one of the main reasons they won the last major and have been a dominant force. So maybe if he can try to find some better form, they can try to play at a higher level. But you know, dead last at a major is not what we expect from them. Vitality, their only win against the winless FaZe. Not the best look from them, losing an elimination match to Ints. They did get matched up with Na'Vi, which, you know, the seeding in the group stage was pretty strange. Some of the weaker teams played weaker teams, and some of the better teams played the better teams, but that's not my job. I wasn't a part of that, and I don't want to try to put I don't want to copium and try to put blame on someone other than the players. Zywoo, he just didn't have an amazing tournament. I know he's still, if I check the statistics, he was still probably one of the best players. Okay, so he's not here. Let's see. Oh, okay. Never mind. 1.08. Yeah, that's definitely disappointing for him. He definitely needs to be better than that. And he was their highest rated player with a 1.08. So they just didn't show up to play. Losing, you know, to Mouse. That was one of the games, the Mouse game and then the Ints game. That was really how I started to feel like, okay, what's happening? You guys need to wake up, especially, and I don't want to blame Zywoo. He's one of the best players in the world, but I just felt like he was not playing at his highest potential that we know he can play. Liquid, another really disappointing team for me. I'm a big fan of them. I expected them to be better. I had them pegged as one of the favorites to win the whole tournament, and it's just disappointing to see them go out the way they did. They won against Na'Vi, yeah, sure. But their opening match, absolutely decimated by Mouse. Not a good look. They bounced back against Sprout, yeah, sure. And then they had a good comeback against Na'Vi, which I was really proud of and really impressed by. But then losing to Heroic, yeah, they did make the finals, but the Liquid has beat Heroic before and could have done it again. And losing to Spirit, the experience really should have prevailed there. Spirit is a younger team. I think I don't want to blame Elige, but I think that the emotions for playing in front of Brazil kind of got to him, and he started getting into his head more than he normally does. Which can made him play at an absolute, like, almost lowest of his career level. And Big is another disappointing team. I wanted to talk about them just a little bit. I know that they've got a weird rotating roster going on, but I just want to talk about them because I feel like they should just be better. This core has been, like, around for a long time. This org has been keeping, like, this core together, and if they can't really seem to put it together, I think they should take some risks on some of the big academy kids. I think that Sin has been great for them, and if they can try to plug him into less of a support role and maybe more of like a Tabson-esque role, I think that he will play a lot better. But yeah, that's about it. Every team ends. I would have been happier if they made the playoffs, but you know, eliminating Vitality is a good step in the right direction. Losing to Navi, yeah, that does suck, but Navi should have won that match. They're just a better team, and that's about it. You know, congrats to Outsiders, JAME, Fame, first ever major, came in and won. Imagine being, Nico. But yeah, that's about it. It would have been nice to maybe see G2 here, but it is what it is. That's about it. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this. Make sure to drop a like, subscribe if you're new, all that. Thank you. Have a great day.